Alright, also look, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm gonna be going over the most recent news dropped by the UFC. And that was the gigantic announcement of UFC 313's co-main and main events, featuring the one and only Dan the Hangman Hooker taking on Justin the Highlight Gaethje for the co-main event. And for the main event, the fight that everyone within the MMA community has been waiting for, the finally announced booking of Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Poatan Pereira for the undisputed light heavyweight throne. And so in this video, I'm going to be quickly glancing over and covering both fights, as well as breaking down some stylistic implications and sort of giving my pre-fight predictions. So with that being said, without further ado, let's get right in to the video. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so we can help me reach 2,000 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. Make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look. So last weekend, during UFC 311's broadcast, the UFC were generous enough to, shall I say, surprise us with a little bit of a gift by finally announcing the co-main and main events for UFC 313. Those being, drumroll please, for the co-main event, we've got Dan the Hangman Hooker versus Justin the Highlight Gaethje. And for the main event, we've got Magomed the Daggy Rat Ankalaev versus Alex Poatan Pereira. Wow, I mean, thanks UFC. I see they've maybe taken notice to the absolute dog feces they handed us with UFC 312 and decided to up their game a little bit and give us two back-to-back banger headlines to end off the night. So kudos, but y'all aren't in the clear yet, because I am still not forgiving y'all for the absolute travesty and shit show y'all want to call a pay-per-view that is UFC 312. But I mean, what can I say? I did see this coming and gave y'all the heads up about a month prior, so UFC 312 being an utter letdown was honestly just an inevitability just waiting to happen. So I guess you can call me the Mystic Tunisian from now on, right? Psych, nah, I'm just playing. But with all the rambling aside, let's get into my honest opinion, as well as mini closer look into the newly announced UFC 313 co-main and main events. Starting off with the co-main event itself, featuring Justin the Highlight Gaethje versus Dan the Hangman Hooker. Alright, so look, first things first, and let me get this out of the way, but I for one pray that we do not see a Leon Scott Scissorhands Edwards Hail Mary fluke KO to end this war early. Because if that's out of the equation, then this fight's gonna be an absolute bona fide barn burner brawl just waiting to happen. And you see, looking at this fight from the outside looking in, I'd say that it's a lot more contentious than a lot of people think. I mean, Justin the Highlight is coming off of his brutal 24.5-minute beatdown into flatline KO against Max Blessed during UFC 300 back in April of last year. Not to mention, by the time him and the Hangman step into the cage together, he will be coming off of an 11-month layoff, so realistically, the odds aren't really in his favor. But then on the other hand, we've got Dan the Hangman, who's looking absolutely spectacular and better than ever before. I mean, he's coming off of two great quality wins, with wins over Jalen Turner and most recently Mateusz Gamrot. Like, the guy is getting better and better every time he steps into the octagon, and he's always managing to prove me wrong and spoil my parlays, but don't get it twisted, we love Dan the Hangman over here. Now, for my early fight analysis pre-rewatching tape, I do kind of favor Justin the Highlight on this one. I mean, with his brawler type of fighting style mixed in with his elite level kicking game, not to mention his KO ability, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to give the dub to Justin the Highlight. But then on the other hand, we've got Dan the Hangman, and when you think about it, him and Justin do have kinda similar fighting styles. I mean, they're both the fight now, think later type of warriors that leave it all in the cage, which is why I know, guaranteed, if this fight doesn't end in an early KO, Poirier v Gaethje 2 style, then this fight is just gonna be utter violence wrapped within 25 straight minutes of cage time. But back to the topic at hand. And you see, I honestly can see Dan the Hangman winning this fight against Justin the Highlight, honestly. I mean, we've got to take into account the 11th month layoff after a brutal flatline KO, while Dan the Hangman, on the other hand, has just been leveling up. He's also got top tier leg kicking defense. I mean, he does train with Israel Adesanya, so that was honestly going to be a no-brainer. He's also a lot lengthier than Justin the Highlight is, so it's going to be a lot easier to lean out of striking range. And Dan's volume as well as his output does outmatch Gaethje's, but if I were to favor anything, I do favor Justin Gaethje's striking proficiency a lot more than Dan Hooker's gas tank, honestly. Now, stack that in with his KO power. Yeah, if I'm gonna give anyone the early prediction, I'm gonna have to go with Justin Gaethje by 4th to 5th round TKO. But this prediction is subject to change once we're a lot closer to the fight date. And now for the main event, where we finally got the long-awaited matchup between the current best two guys at 205. Those being the number one contender, Magomed Ankalaev, and the undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, Alex Poatan Pereira. And dog, it's about time since Dana and Dem ultimately finalized this matchup. I mean, ever since the Yuri 1 fight, the entire MMA community have been begging and pleading with the UFC to match Pereira up with what they call his stylistic nightmare. And I mean, can you blame him? Out of the entire UFC light heavyweight division, who realistically gives this cat his first go at 205? Volkan Ozdemir? Huh? Johnny Walker? Yikes! Carlos Ulberg? Fluff no. Maybe he can't. That's besides the point. The truth is, Alex Pereira, since entering the 205 division, has just been beating, and I quote, favorable matchups. I mean, there were Yuri, Jamal, Yuri again, and then most recently, Khalil Roundtree. And guess what all of those cats have in common? Yup, they're all pure strikers. And so, you see, the narrative that's been buzzing around the MMA community for so long was that Alex Poatan has been ducking Big Ank. But in reality, Big Ank has been doing all the ducking. Because you see, for those who don't know, Alex Poatan was actually supposed to be taking on Magomed Ankalaev during UFC 310 on short notice, but Magomed Ankalaev declined. But all that doesn't matter anymore because this fight has now been officially confirmed. And I don't want to go too much in depth with the pre-fight analysis because a could he do it breakdown video will 100% be getting made on this fight a lot closer to the March 8th date. But if I had to give little brief inklings on how I do see these two matched up, I mean, Magomed Ankalaev has stated that he plans to stand and strike with Alex Poatan throughout their fight, but I don't think that's the best strategy. Alex Poatan's leg kicks will break Magomed Ankalaev down, and he's the more explosive and technically skilled striker compared to Magomed Ankalaev. And if this fight remains a striking battle, I do see Alex Poatan breaking Big Ank early and ultimately finding that left hook of doom to close the show. That being said though, if Magomed Ankalaev does incorporate a mix of striking and grappling, then his chances of winning this fight against Alex Poatan do skyrocket exponentially. Especially since Alex Poatan's grappling hasn't necessarily been tested at the highest level. I mean, there was Jan Blachowicz, but I wouldn't really call that the highest level of grappling. Ultimately though, I do give this win to Alex Poatan Pereira. I do believe that this quote-unquote Pereira can't grapple narrative is washed up and overused. Like, the guy's main coach is one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the game, Glover Teixeira. Not to mention, a lot of these cats talking about big Ank by third round sub or big Ank by second round sub don't realize that Magomed Ankalaev is not a submission threat, with him boasting a whopping 0 submission finishes within his entire MMA career. The guy's a hybrid striker that likes to keep the fight standing. That being said, I've got Alex Poatan Pereira by third or fourth round TKO or KO against Magomed Ankalaev during UFC 313. But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your guys' thoughts on the 2 banger headliners we've got for UFC 313? Those being, for the co-main event, Dan the Hangman Hooker versus Justin the Highlight Gaethje, and for the main event, Alex Poatan Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.